Subscribe to my YouTube channel, share it with your friends, and comment your thoughts. She was standing over the blood-stained note when the door creaked open. The moment was frozen in time, her hands trembling, her breath caught in her throat. The faint light from the street lamp outside slipped through the cracked window, casting long shadows across the worn carpet. The note, crumpled and soaked in something dark and red, lay on the floor at her feet. Her heart thundered like a storm inside her chest, pounding so hard she thought it might break free. The room was heavy with silence, but it wasn't empty. From behind the cracked door, she heard voices, low, mocking, cruel. "Look at her," David sneered. His voice was thick with contempt, the kind of hatred that felt sharp enough to cut through bone. "She thinks she still matters." The woman with him laughed, a harsh, cruel sound like shattering glass. Maria's knees threatened to buckle. She gripped the edge of the doorframe for support, holding herself steady. She wasn't ready to face what she knew she had to hear, but there was no turning back. "Poor little fool," the mistress said, venom dripping from every word. "Did she really believe he'd ever leave me, after everything I've done?" Maria's mind spun. She barely heard the words, but the tone was clear. She was nothing, worthless, a joke to them. Her husband David and his mistress Claire were mocking her pain, the pain she carried every second since their baby died. Her hands dropped the note, which fluttered to the floor. The stain on it was unmistakable. Blood, not her blood. She wanted to scream, to run, to disappear. Instead, all she could do was breathe, shallow and ragged, as if her lungs had forgotten how. After the baby died, she just wanted sympathy, Claire said. But all she got was the truth. David laughed, a cold, bitter sound that made Maria's stomach twist. Her vision blurred, tears burning behind her eyes, but she refused to cry. Not here. Not now. She took a shaky step backward and nearly stumbled, her bare feet cold against the floor. The door creaked again, louder this time. Maria pressed herself flat against the wall, her heart hammering, waiting, wishing the earth would swallow her whole. Then, suddenly, her phone buzzed. Sharp, sudden sound in the silence. She pulled it from her pocket with trembling fingers. The screen lit up with an unknown number. Against every instinct screaming inside her to ignore it, she answered. "Hello?" Her voice was barely a whisper. A calm, deep voice replied, "Maria, I know what happened. I know what they did, and I'm going to help you." Maria froze. "How do you know my name?" she asked, her voice cracking. There was a pause, then a click. The call ended. She stared at the dark screen, heart racing, mind whirling. The pain of losing everything. Had only been 2 weeks since the hospital, the day their baby Lily died. Maria closed her eyes and saw the sterile white walls, the beeping machines, the cold hands of the doctors trying to comfort her and David. She remembered the overwhelming grief that crashed over her like a tidal wave, stealing all her breath and hope. David had been distant that day, cold even. Not angry, just gone. She'd hoped he was just in shock, but now she knew the truth. He had already stopped caring. The note on the floor was the last cruel confirmation. David and Claire had been together long before Lily was born. Maria had been blind, pretending to believe otherwise, but now their cruelty was exposed like a raw wound. Maria bent to pick up the note. It was a letter from Claire to David, filled with threats, insults, and mocking references to Maria's grief and helplessness. "She's broken," it read, a pathetic shadow of what she once was. Maria clenched the paper until her knuckles went white. She wiped a tear away and stood tall. No more hiding. The secret life of her husband David had been charming, successful, everything Maria ever dreamed of when they married. He worked in finance, a rising star in a Wall Street firm, and he promised her the world. But promises broke like glass. She had noticed small changes, late nights, secret calls, unexplained expenses. But she never thought he'd betray her this badly. Claire wasn't just some stranger. She was his partner in crime, his mistress, his co-conspirator in destroying Maria's life. Maria had suspected the affair months ago, but nothing prepared her for the venomous mockery, the way they laughed at her pain. The phone call that changed everything. The strange call haunted Maria's thoughts. Who was that man? The voice sounded powerful, confident, unlike anyone she knew. She searched her contacts, but found no match. Then an idea struck her. She grabbed her laptop and quickly typed, "In Alexander Drake." Her eyes widened. Alexander Drake was a name that shook the financial world, a billionaire with a reputation for ruthless deals and secret alliances. They called him the King of Wall Street. Rumors said he controlled more money than most countries and had eyes everywhere. Why would someone like him call her? A choice between despair and revenge. Maria's world had been shattered. She had nothing left but pain and anger. She could stay broken or fight back. She thought about her baby, Lily, about all the dreams they'd shared, about how David and Claire had stolen everything from her. She wiped her tears away and stared at the night sky through the window. The city lights flickered like distant stars, fragile but stubborn. Maria knew one thing: she wasn't going to let them win. Her phone buzzed again, a message from the unknown number. Tonight, everything changes. Her heart raced. What was about to happen? Memories of a life she lost, flashbacks flooded her mind. The day she met David, his warm smile, the way he held her hand, the wedding, laughter, hope, promises whispered in the dark. The pregnancy, the joy that filled her until it was shattered by tragedy. The hospital room where she held Lily's tiny hand as life slipped away. All of it felt like a distant dream or a nightmare. And now, her husband and his mistress were mocking her grief like it was a joke. The lonely night ahead, Maria sat on the edge of the bed, clutching the blood-stained note. Her phone lay beside her, silent for a moment. Then it buzzed again. She hesitated, then opened the message. A video, her breath caught. It was David, but not as she remembered him. The screen showed him in a dark alley with Claire. They weren't just laughing, they were celebrating. Finally rid of her, David whispered, cold and cruel. Maria's hands shook. The note slipped from her fingers again. The video ended, the beginning of the fight. Maria felt something inside her break, but it wasn't despair. It was fire, a burning rage that pushed her to stand up. She was no longer the broken woman they mocked. She was going to fight, and she wasn't alone. The phone buzzed one last time, a text from Alexander Drake. "Meet me tomorrow. I have answers and a plan." Maria looked out the window, the city alive with possibilities and danger. She swallowed hard. Tomorrow, everything would change. Maria sat alone in her tiny apartment, the weight of the night pressing down on her, the video on her phone. David and Claire, celebrating her suffering, haunted her every thought. She kept replaying it in her mind, as if somehow she could squeeze out a different meaning. But the cold truth was clear. They had no intention of letting her heal. They wanted her broken and defeated. Her hands trembled as she scrolled through. The messages from the mysterious Alexander Drake, the man who had promised help. She'd spent the last day researching him. The King of Wall Street was a legend, ruthless, brilliant, and fiercely private. Why would someone like him care about her? The message was clear. Meet me tomorrow. I have answers and a plan. The meeting. The next morning, Maria forced herself to get dressed and leave her apartment for the first time in days. She felt raw, emotionally drained and physically tired, but the fire inside her flickered with renewed strength. She arrived at the address Alexander had sent. It was a sleek glass building towering over the city, a place where deals were made. Fortunes changed and secrets kept under lock and key. Inside, the lobby smelled of polished marble and expensive coffee. Maria's heartbeat quickened. Was she about to walk into a trap, or the first step toward justice? A sharply dressed woman greeted her and led her through security and into a private office. Alexander Drake stood by the window, staring out over the city. He was older than she imagined, late 50s, with silver streaks in his dark hair, piercing blue eyes that seemed to see right through her. He turned and smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Maria," he said. "I'm glad you came." Maria swallowed her nerves. "Who are you? Why are you helping me?" Alexander gestured to the chair in front of his desk. "Sit, I'll explain." A hidden connection. Alexander's voice was steady, but Maria noticed a hint of urgency beneath. "I've been watching David for months. Not because I'm interested in his business, but because of you." Maria frowned. "Me? Why?" "Your family," Alexander said carefully. "You don't know the full story about your baby, about your husband, or about the money they're hiding?" Maria's heart skipped a beat. "What do you mean?" Alexander opened a file and slid it across the desk. Photos, bank statements, and encrypted documents filled the pages. David's name was everywhere, but so was another name. A name Maria recognized, but had never fully understood. Lily's. "Trust," Alexander explained. "David created a secret fund tied to your late child. He was using it to funnel money through illegal channels. Claire knew everything." Maria's mind reeled. The betrayal cut deeper than she thought. "They're not just mocking your grief," Alexander said. "They're stealing your family's legacy." A risky alliance. Maria clenched her fists. "What do you want from me?" "To help you take back what's yours," Alexander said. "But this won't be easy. David is dangerous. He's built alliances you can't imagine." Maria felt a surge of fear, but also resolve. "I'm ready," she whispered. Alexander nodded. "Good. Because once we start, there's no turning back." He handed her a small card with a number. "If you ever need me, call." Investigating the betrayal. Over the next few days, Maria threw herself into uncovering the truth. She hacked into David's email accounts, pieced together financial records, and followed leads that made her stomach churn. She discovered Claire's involvement went deeper than she imagined. Claire wasn't just a mistress, but a partner in David's schemes. Her fury grew with every secret she uncovered. The cost of trust. Maria confided in one person, her childhood friend, James, who had always stood by her. James listened without judgment. "You're not alone in this, Maria." But even he warned her, "Be careful. You're dealing with powerful people." A twist in the tale. One night, as Maria was digging through David's files, she found an encrypted folder labeled simply, "For Maria." Her fingers shook as she opened it. Inside were emails between David and Claire, but the tone was different. David was scared. He was planning something desperate, something that could destroy them all. Maria realized the game was far from over. Closing. Cliffhanger as. She stared at the screen. Her phone buzzed again, a message from an unknown number. "You're closer than you think, but not everyone is who they seem." Maria's breath caught. What did that mean? She glanced around her empty apartment. Feeling watched, who could she trust? The fight was only beginning. Maria sat in her small apartment, the glow from her laptop casting eerie shadows on the walls. The message from the unknown number echoed in her mind. "You're closer than you think, but not everyone is who they seem." She had no idea what it meant, but the warning felt like a cold breath on her neck. David and Claire's betrayal had cracked open her world, and now Maria was walking through the shards, determined to piece together the truth, even if it meant cutting herself deeper. A friend or a foe? James, her longtime friend, had been a rock through the storm. He had helped her sift through bank records, face harsh realities, and even confront David's associates. But that message made Maria question everything. She had invited James over that evening, wanting to talk, to lean on him just one more time. But when James arrived, his smile didn't reach his eyes. "Maria," he said, hesitating, "there's something I need to tell you." Maria's heart sank. "What is it?" James looked down, running a hand through his hair. I wasn't completely honest with you. The hidden truth." James confessed he'd been working for David for months, not to betray Maria, but to keep an eye on him from the inside. "I wanted to protect you," he said. "But David's business is darker than you realize. He's involved with people who don't hesitate to hurt anyone who gets in the way." Maria felt like the floor had dropped beneath her. "Why didn't you tell me?" "I was afraid," James admitted. "Afraid it would destroy you." The room grew heavy with silence. Maria realized the friend she trusted might have been part of the betrayal, even if his heart was in the right place. An unexpected ally, just as Maria was processing. James' confession, her phone buzzed. A message from Alexander Drake. "Meet me tonight. We need to move fast." Maria didn't hesitate. The secret meeting, under the cover of darkness, Maria made her way to a discreet cafe Alexander had arranged. He was waiting at a corner table, his expression serious. "We've uncovered new evidence," Alexander said. "David's network is bigger than we thought. He's connected to some of the most dangerous players on Wall Street." Maria listened, heart pounding. "We can expose him," Alexander continued, "but we need proof, something that can't be ignored." The plan Alexander laid out, a risky plan. Maria would attend an exclusive gala where David was expected to be. Alexander's team had arranged for hidden cameras and security to catch David red-handed. "This is your chance," Alexander said, "to turn the tables." Maria nodded, feeling a mix of fear and determination. She knew the risk, but also knew she had nothing left to lose. The gala, a night of masks. The gala was held in a grand hotel ballroom, glittering with chandeliers and filled with the city's elite. Maria arrived in a simple black dress, trying to blend into the background. She saw David almost immediately, charming, confident, laughing with Claire by his side. Her stomach twisted. The Kai. Two were the picture of success and happiness, mocking her from across the room. The unexpected encounter. As Maria moved through the crowd, a man in a tailored suit approached her. "Maria," he said quietly. She turned to see a woman, striking, with sharp eyes that seemed to look right through her. "I'm Evelyn," the woman said. "I know what you're trying to do." Maria was startled. "Why are you helping me?" she asked. Evelyn smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Because David owes me a debt, and I intend to collect." A dangerous game. Evelyn's information was invaluable. She revealed that David was planning to flee the country soon, taking all the stolen money with him. Time was running out. Maria's heart pounded as the gala continued around her. A glittering facade masking deadly secrets. The betrayal uncovered. Just as Maria was about to slip away to meet Alexander's team, she overheard David's voice. "We can't let her ruin everything," he whispered to Claire. "Tonight's the night," Claire said, eyes gleaming. Maria's blood ran cold. They knew. The plan had been compromised. The escape. Maria texted Alexander. "They know." He replied instantly. "Get out now!" Heart racing, Maria slipped through the crowd, eyes darting for any sign of danger. She barely made it out the back door before two men started following her. Her breath caught in her throat as she sprinted into the night, adrenaline fueling her escape. The aftermath safe, in a hidden location, Maria and Alexander's team reviewed the footage from the gala. Despite the danger, they had captured undeniable proof of David's crimes. But the threat was clear. David was desperate, dangerous, and willing to destroy anyone in his way. Closing cliffhanger. As Maria stared at the screen, her phone buzzed again. A new message from the unknown number. Trust no one. Your real enemy is closer than you think. Maria's hands trembled. Who could it be? The line between friend and foe was disappearing fast. Her fight was far from over. The city had never felt colder to Maria than it did on that early morning when she stepped out of the shadows and back into the world that had betrayed her. The phone buzzed one last time, a message from Alexander Drake. It's time. She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of months of lies, loss, and heartbreak, lifting ever so slightly. Tonight, she would face David and Claire, and finally, take back what was hers. The final play, Alexander's team had laid a trap so precise it could only be pulled off once. Maria was to attend a private auction, a secret event where David planned to offload stolen assets under the noses of the city's richest criminals. Dressed in a simple, elegant black gown, Maria entered the dimly lit warehouse-turned-ballroom. The air was thick with smoke and whispered deals. Around her, faces masked in glittering anonymity, laughing and bidding millions, as if their lives depended on it, because they did. David was there. His usual confident grin felt brittle now. Claire, equally poised, sat nearby, but Maria saw a flicker of doubt in her eyes. Confrontation in the shadows. Maria approached, heart pounding, but her voice steady. David. He turned, surprise flashing across his face, quickly replaced by a cold sneer. Well, well, look who decided to show up, the poor wife-playing detective. Maria met his gaze without flinching. This ends tonight. You took everything, my baby, my trust, my life. But you underestimated me. Claire rose, voice sharp. You think you can stop us? We're untouchable. Maria shook her head. Not anymore. The hidden evidence. Alexander's team activated the hidden cameras, broadcasting. Live to the police and media waiting outside. Every word, every shady deal was exposed. David's mask cracked under the pressure. He tried to bargain, to threaten, but the law was closing in. The warehouse erupted in chaos as officers moved in. The truth revealed in the midst of the chaos. Maria confronted Claire privately. You never loved him. You used him for power. Claire's facade crumbled. Maybe, she whispered, but he would have destroyed you if I hadn't stopped him. Maria's heart twisted. The woman she hated wasn't just a villain. She was a survivor, too. Healing begins. Days later, as David and Claire faced charges, Maria stood outside the courthouse, a quiet strength radiating from her. James approached, offering a tentative smile. I'm sorry, he said simply. Maria nodded. We all make mistakes, but now it's time to move forward. The last message. Maria's phone buzzed one last time, a message from the unknown number. Sometimes losing everything is the only way to find who you really are. Maria smiled softly. She was no longer the broken woman who had watched her world fall apart. She was someone new, stronger, wiser, free. Epilogue. A new dawn. Maria opened the door to her new life. She was ready for whatever came next. Because sometimes the hardest battles lead to the brightest victories.